The morning of November 8, 1950 began like any other over the Yalu River. Soviet-trained MiG-15 pilots climbed into cockpits of the most advanced fighter jet on Earth, a machine that could reach 650 miles per hour, armed with 37mm cannons that could tear an American bomber apart in seconds. They owned the sky. Or so they believed. Because 20,000 feet below them, a formation of aircraft was approaching that looked like it had been designed by a committee that couldn't agree on anything. Straight wings in the jet age, a nose so bulbous pilots called it the hog nose, an engine intake split into two ridiculous root intakes that made it look pregnant. This was the Grumman F9F Panther, and it was about to rewrite everything the Soviets thought they knew about air combat. The MiG pilots dove, standard intercept, superior speed, superior altitude, superior firepower, three advantages that had never failed them. But when they pulled the trigger, something impossible happened. The Panthers were gone. Not destroyed, gone. Vanished into evasive maneuvers so violent, so instantaneous, that the MiG pilots radioed back to base with reports their commanders initially refused to believe. The American jets were turning inside them. Here's what those Soviet pilots didn't know. Grumman had built the Panther around a single, radical idea. You don't need to be faster if you can't be caught. While the MiG-15 was engineered for pure speed, swept wings, high-altitude intercept, the bleeding edge of jet technology, the Panther was designed around something older, something the Soviets had forgotten mattered: maneuverability. Those straight wings everyone mocked, they weren't a flaw, they were a trap. Because in a turning fight, the laws of physics don't care about your top speed. They care about wing loading and thrust-to-weight ratios at combat speeds. The MiG's swept wings gave it speed, yes, but they bled energy in turns. The Panther's straight wings generated lift at lower speeds, and those ugly root intakes? They fed a Pratt & Whitney J42 engine that delivered consistent thrust exactly where it mattered: in the barrel roll, in the scissors maneuver, in the split second between life and death at 400 miles per hour. Lieutenant Commander William Amon proved it on that November morning. When the MiGs committed to their attack dive, he didn't run, he turned into them, hard, a move that should have been suicide. Instead, his Panther carved an arc the MiG-15 couldn't follow. The Soviet pilot panicked, tried to turn tighter, and stalled. Amon's 20mm cannons found their mark. The first MiG-15 kill in history went to the jet everyone said was obsolete before it even reached the war. But here's the part that terrified the MiG pilots even more than the loss. It was the realization that came after. Because the Panther wasn't just beating them in dogfights, it was beating them everywhere. Close air support missions over Chosin Reservoir where temperatures hit 35 below zero and Marines were surrounded by 8 Chinese divisions. The Panthers flew anyway. Bombing runs against bridges the MiGs were supposed to protect, the Panthers got through. Fleet defense, where a single mistake meant a destroyer got hit by a torpedo bomber, the Panthers never missed their patrol. The Navy had asked Grumman for a fighter that could do everything, and everyone said that was impossible. You can't optimize for speed and maneuverability. You can't carry bombs and dogfight. You can't operate from a carrier deck and a Typhoon and also intercept high-altitude bombers. Pick 2, maybe 3. Grumman picked all of them. And they didn't do it with swept wings or experimental engines. They did it with something simpler. They built it strong. Every Panther that came back to the carrier decks had a story. Holes from 37mm cannon fire you could put your fist through, still flying. Hydraulics shot out, landing on the emergency barrier. The pilot walked away. One pilot took a direct hit to the tail section, lost all rudder control, and still managed to land by using differential throttle on his wingtip fuel tanks. The crew chief counted 187 shrapnel holes. The pilot flew the same airframe the next day. This wasn't luck. This was Grumman's reputation, earned the hard way in World War II. They'd built the F-6F Hellcat, the aircraft that broke the back of Japanese naval aviation with a 19-to-1 kill ratio. They understood something other manufacturers didn't. Pilots don't need the perfect aircraft. They need the aircraft that brings them home. The Panther was overbuilt, overweight, and over-engineered for survival. And in Korea, that philosophy killed more enemy aircraft than speed ever could. By December 1950, Soviet intelligence reports show a pattern. MiG-15 pilots were refusing to engage Panthers below 25,000 feet, not because of orders, because of fear. They'd watched too many wingmen go down in turning fights. They'd seen too many Panthers absorb damage that should have been fatal and keep fighting. The psychological advantage shifted. The MiG was still faster, still had more firepower, still had better altitude performance. None of it mattered if you couldn't bring yourself to pull the trigger. The United States Navy flew 78,000 sorties in Korea. Panthers flew the majority. They shot down MiGs in dogfights. They destroyed bridges, trains, and supply depots. They provided close air support that saved entire battalions, and they did it with a loss rate so low that by 1953, some squadrons were flying airframes with over 1,000 combat hours. Combat hours, and a jet everyone said looked too ugly to be effective. Because here's the final reveal, the one that explains everything. The Panther wasn't designed to be beautiful. It was designed to be underestimated. Grumman knew exactly what they were doing with those straight wings and that bulbous nose. They were baiting the enemy into a fight they couldn't win. And when the MiG-15 pilots finally realized the trap, when they understood that the ugly American jet was out-turning, outlasting, and outfighting them, it was too late. The F9F Panther served until 1958. It never got the glory of the F-86 Sabre, never made the magazine covers, never became the symbol of American jet superiority. But ask the pilots who flew it. Ask the Marines at Chosin who heard those engines overhead when they thought they'd been abandoned. Ask the MiG pilots who survived encounters with it and refused to engage a second time. They'll tell you the same thing. Ugly works, if it brings you home.